Welcome to US Tzu Chi 360. I'm Neil Socont, and today I'm really fortunate to have Joe Huang with me. Joe was born in Taiwan and moved to the US when he was 13 years old. But in September 2010, he was to make a decision that would change the rest of his life. He decided to move back to Hualien, Taiwan, and become one of Master Cheng Yen's disciples. Welcome, Joe. Thank you for being with us today. I really appreciate it because we know your schedule is really tight.
Thank you.
My first question, how does a young Taiwanese American make a decision when you were successful here in the US, that important in your life?
Actually, I found the meaning for my life. I think everybody from there going to school, whether it's junior high school, and college, everybody just following the set pattern that perhaps was set for them by their parents or their predecessors or other people in the society. But I think the most important part that we are all looking for is the meaning of our life. What is the meaning of our lives? And I believe I found that calling, and that lies in Tzu Chi. And that's why when I found out that's what I really want to do, when I found out that the whole point, this meaning of life is really lies in the service of other people and also the betterment and overcoming ourselves. When I found that was my goal, and I know that Tzu Chi is where I need to be to cultivate that. And so when you found that, I think the decision was easy to be made.
So how is your new life now? How do you live together to every day with this new life, new spirit you have?
I think in terms of body, I think we wake up at around 3:45 every day, and then we probably ended up going to bed around 10:30, 11. So yes, it could be tiring, but the most important thing is that every single second, every moment, you definitely cherish it. And because every moment is so precious, is so treasurable, that you really have to work hard to race against time. So when Master Cheng Yen says we're running out of time, we have a very deep sense of understanding, and we know and we follow her, so that every single moment, from very early in the morning all the way to the moment that we we go to bed and we fall asleep, the moment that we're awake, every moment is what we cherish. And that's how I see our lives right now, is every minute we are cherishing and we're treasuring every moment of it.
And when you travel, you must meet a lot of people who tells you, oh, I really appreciate and respect your choice, what you did, but I could never do it myself. So how can these people accept Master's teachings every day and do it on their daily life without making the same choice?
I think the most important thing is I tell people that Tzu Chi is a direction, is a way of life, of living. However, the most important teaching is not for you to become another person, but rather is for you to find out who you are. It's for you to find out what your inner nature, your Buddha nature, your inner self is telling you, is calling you out. What kind of sound, what kind of voice is it calling out for you to be? You have to find that voice. And today, in today's world, there are too many noises. There are too many things around us that distract us from being who we really are. For example, every day we go to work, there are all these text messages, there are all these instant messages, there are all these noises around, and everything is moving, every moment is moving. How can you find time to really settle down and calm down and find out, what am I doing with my life? So most of the people that I come in contact with, I just tell them, I am not necessarily going to brainwash you into becoming one of us, but I want you to really honestly evaluate your own life. Is this what you want to do? And if not, what are you doing to make it into something that you want? And then I'll tell them, if you really don't know where your life is going, or you're not sure, let me tell you my story. Let me share with you what I think. And if you agree with me, then let me share with you some more.
One other challenge might be the differences, either language or cultural or religion. How do you overcome that? How can you talk to people like me, for example? I come from a different background. I don't speak Mandarin. I'm Catholic. And how can you talk to people like me around the world, there are plenty, and make them same thing, understand the philosophy, understand that spirit?
I think we're all in this world where, for example, we are bilingual. We speak multiple languages, and also we're interacting with multiple different countries, and we have backgrounds in different, whether it's academic area or whatnot. And that makes us bridges. And we're here to build bridges. We are here to be a conduit to basically connect different worlds. So you mentioned one world where it's mostly predominantly Asian, specifically Taiwanese, and it's also very Buddhist in nature. How can we connect that world to the other world where you need a bridge? And that's who we are, because we are attuned to both of these cultures. So what I do, or I specifically personally do, is I would try my best to understand what I know more about the source of Tzu Chi, which is in Hualien in Taiwan, coming from Master Cheng Yen. How can I internalize that? How can I receive that and understand and try my best to understand and use words and use examples, use real life examples to bring these, the teachings and bring the ideals out so that you can understand, so other people can share, and that we can be tuned to the same wavelength. The whole point is we're trying to find similarities rather than try to focus on the differences. We have been, this is what I call different life models. In Taiwan, it's mostly about life of subtraction, where if you have a test paper, if you have an exam, the teacher grades you based on what you did wrong. So for example, on the first topic, maybe the full credit was 20 points, and she will mark down -2 for missing this, -5 for missing this, and therefore you only get 13 out of 20, and then eventually everything gets tallied up. In America, or in the Western culture, it's called the model of addition, where if you do something right, I give you the credit for it, and at the end I tally everything up. They both come to the same score. Yet, the one way of looking at it is, how much are you missing from 100? The other way is, how much have you gained from nothing? And both of these models are right. But how do you connect the two worlds together? That's where the bridge came out, because we are exposed to both of these cultures. What can we do so that we can bring something of this culture and transform it to something that other people from a different part of the world can accept? Changing from a Chinese character into something that's an English alphabetical composition, yet the meaning is still lost. For example, in Chinese is Fa, and in English is Dharma. You can translate Fa to Dharma all you want, but people still won't get it. It looks English, it has all these alphabets, but you're not helping. This translation really didn't do anything other than it's a placeholder. And the thing that it's holding is still blank. And what we should do is, like I said, bridge the gap, is to bring the ideal, is to bring the idea, the concept, that rather than just words, rather than just alphabets, into other people's lives. Otherwise, it would just be, people will still be talking about Dharma as if they know, but they don't really know what it is. And I still see people asking questions, so what is Dharma? And honestly, it's the same in Chinese. You can say the word, the character, all you want, but do people really understand what it is? Do they really get it? Do they really grasp it? And I think that's something that we have to try hard. And I think with this program, it's definitely trying in that direction. You're just trying to do a English translated program, not just do a translated program in English, but you're trying to do it from a completely different perspective, one from English, from American perspective. And I think that's the most important thing, is how do you find the similarities and then use the differences to your strength? And I think that's what we're ultimately doing. We are very focused and we're very determined, and I think something like USTC 360, this is exactly what we're doing, is trying to bridge that gap. So thank you very much. I think the staff here is doing a wonderful job to trying to do this as well. Like I said, I really appreciate it, and I really thank you for all your efforts. It's really making a huge difference.
After having told his parents that he was going back to Hualien, Taiwan for good in 2010, Zhou Huang didn't come back to the United States for 3 years. And this time, besides visiting his family, Zhou would be asked to share his life experience.
实际退转的可能就10年后才进来了，真的。
Only within 2 weeks, he did it about 10 times, from the West Coast to the East Coast, and to hundreds of people, Tzu Chi volunteers, college students, as well as larger American audiences.
It's a form of control. It's worth every moment of your time.
In both Chinese and English, Zhou accomplished his mission as a messenger of Master Cheng Yan's teachings. Beyond oceans, borders, and cultural differences, Zhou delivered his message and took note of people's questions, remarks, and thoughts, to be a messenger again when back to Taiwan. Together we exchanged stories of the places to where we have both been and seen Tzu Chi's work in action. but also places where sometimes the cultural, religious, and linguistic differences can be either a challenge or a strength.
合在一起就是请大家多看大海滩。
Thank you. And to follow up on that, being in Haiti, for example, where most of the people speak either French or Creole, and we met there with the Sisters of Sainte Anne, who own the College of Marianne, the College Marianne. They worked with Tzu Chi for years now, and they are Catholic and Buddhist working together to, at the end, accomplish the first Buddhist and Catholic school.
Yes.
These sisters were telling me all the time, we feel like our spirit is the same. We met with Master Zhenyan in Hualien, and we feel our spirit is the same, exactly the same. But we still have our differences. So how do we cultivate these differences, but also work for the same goal, the same common goal that we share?
And I think the same common goal from Master Ching's point of view are the 3 vows that she has for every year, right? Is for all our minds, our hearts can be purified and calm, and also for the society to be harmonized, and therefore, hopefully there will be a world where there's no disaster. And how we go about doing that is, like I mentioned before, we should focus on our similarities. The differences will be there, because after all, you and I are different. Right? We look different, we have different background, we think differently. But how do we filter out these differences? In fact, the differences are what make us strong. If we don't have these differences, then we can be blindsided completely by something that's unexpected because nobody saw this coming. It is because we focus on our similarities to grow our strength, but at the same time, we do not see differences as our weakness, but rather we use it to our strength and strengthen our bond, that we know that even though we're different, but we're utilizing our differences as something that's our asset rather than our liability. And I think that's what the whole organization is trying to do. We're not trying to say everybody should be one and this way only. Even though you do see us wearing uniforms, that's a different way of cultivating. However, the main point is, how can we try to get everybody's expertise to the right places so that they can be the most functional as they can, yet at the same time, they all have the same direction. Let me give you an example. So this time, I had a chance to go to Los Angeles to participate in the Tzu Chi, the conference. And I think it was one of the most exciting events for me to participate in the US for some time. And my original plan did not involve taking a trip to Northern California. However, after my sharing, I think there were 4 or 5 brothers and sisters from Northern California. They all come to me, not at once, but they come one at a time. They all have their differences, right? One is an engineer, one is a housewife, and obviously everybody's different age group, and they all have different interaction with me from before. So they'll come at me with different, background, different ways, right? One try to say, oh, you haven't been here for such a long time. The other one says, we really need you. They all come in this problem with different angles, different perspectives. Yet they all have the same goal, trying to get me to Northern California. They succeeded because they got their differences to their strength, and their similarities, same goal. Sometimes if we just unite this goal, it becomes a strength that's able to get everybody onto the same path. At the same time, our differences even strengthen that goal even further, and that's what we're trying to do.
What, when taking action in further countries, like I know you went to Africa, and I know you experienced challenges there because it's a new background, new entire background. How can you, in this kind of environment, how can you overcome all those challenges? I know for you it was kind of difficult in Africa.
Right. First of all, it was, the seasons are different, right? It was, in the Northern Hemisphere, it was summer at the time, it was July. And when we got there, it was cold. However, the one thing that I found that was really valuable was that when I see this group of children, we went to Zimbabwe, we went to Africa. In Zimbabwe specifically, I saw a lot of children that was in the school where there was from K all the way to 8th grade. And all these children, they were all studying, they were learning basically there's no structure whether they can call classroom. It's really wide open. And even though that I see that there are a lot of differences, they are speaking some language that I don't understand, and most of them do speak English, but the things that they are teaching, it could be something, it could be math, it could be science, it could be whatnot, but I see the heart, I see the effort that was put in by the teachers and the students, and that is universal. I sort of remember back to when I was in college and when I was in school, and I saw the things that were similar. And I saw that the differences were, we had all these infrastructure, we had all these resources, but they don't. What can I do to provide them something that could help them? So that maybe I could give them, we can provide for them something of an even ground where they are better equipped, they're better prepared to succeed. And so even though there are all these differences, and some of them might be working to our strength, some of them might be working as our weakness, what can we do to overlook that we can build on our similarities? We all believe that education is the key to answer, is the key to bettering their future. So what can we do about that? And I think when we have the same goal, when we have the same direction, let me tell you, that strength is unbelievable. The impossibles becomes all of a sudden become something that could be attained. And that's what we're doing. We're bringing miracles, essentially. We're bringing something that was unthought of, unheard of before, into something that's really possible. That's something that could be seen by today's standard. And see, we made it happen. And this is not work of supernatural powers. This is the work of everyday living being, all of us, whether it's volunteer from Taiwan, volunteers from US, or volunteers from Africa. We made it happen, and this is our collective work. And so together we can make it happen.
You're talking a lot about actions, and I know when you joined, you wanted actions, but yet you made the choice to go back to Hualien. So how do you balance action and spirituality? Because that's what your life is about right now, yes. Balancing the two. How do you balance that?
Yes. I think one of the examples that Dharma Master Cheng Yen once said was really brought out the essence of this. She said that in our bloodstream, if you have an air bubble inside, it will clog the bloodstream, which causes things to happen, like stroke, etc., because your brain missing the oxygen. However, without the air bubble does not mean that your bloodstream have no oxygen. Your blood is still oxygen. It still has oxygen in it, right? Whether it's hemoglobin or something that my high school biology teaches me. But all that tells you that there is work or action and there's spirituality. I do not see them as two things. They have to be combined as one. I'm still working on it. But the ultimate goal is, how can we bring the two to become one, such that when we are doing anything, whether it was action or whether it was spirituality, there's no differentiation. There's no difference in telling, you know what, I'm working on my spirituality right now, so don't bug me about action. Or I am just working right now, and therefore spirituality can be put on hold. Everything has to be fused and merged into one, and that is a tough work, because it's almost like learning how to swim, and then you have to remember how to come up for air and while continue swimming. At first, is going to be difficult. You're going to drink some water. You're going to just take some water, accidentally. That's going to happen. But that's just like how we can try to fuse it together. At first, it's going to be difficult. You're going to try to work Buddhism. You're going to try to work spirituality into your action. That's going to be hard. It's going to reject it at first because it's something that's undone. It's something that's unheard of. It's hard to do. You've never done it before. But as you do more, as you listen to Master's teaching more, as you do more and more, and all of a sudden Master's teaching, maybe one phrase will all of a sudden pop up. That's when you realize, hey, I'm slowly merging the two. And eventually, hopefully, we can be like Master, where everything she does, the two things always as one. There's no differentiation. It's basically, there's no space in between. There's nothing in between action and spirituality. It's merged as one.
What's your message for the youth, and especially the youth that right now is saying, oh, I would like to do that, but I believe that still being successful and accomplishing things depend on money. And being successful for me would be have a good job and make a lot of money. What is your message for them? Because you were the counterexample.
Yes. I think the most important part, I believe, is to stay true and honest to yourself. Is this what you really want? Or is this what you want because other people think that you should do this? You have to stay true to what you think is right. And that's why there's a still thought, there's a Jinsi aphorism that says, if it's the right thing, just do it. And stop thinking about so much about, oh, I think if I do this, other people might think, some lowly of me. I remember one time I was on in Taiwan in high-speed rail station where it's pretty modern, everything was modern, and one person in front of me, I think he accidentally put a recyclable plastic bottle into the garbage can, and it's right next to each other. and he just simply made a mistake. I was wearing my suit and tie at the time, and I walked by and I thought, that's wrong, that's not right. What should I do? I could continue walking, or I could stop. I could take out that plastic bottle and put it where it belongs. But I'm wearing a suit and tie. What should I do? So I take down my suit and I roll on my sleeves and I reach in, I pull out the plastic bottle and I put it into the recycle bin. And I think it's about what is the right thing to do, not so much about what other people expect you to do. And if you know, and trust me, we all know deep in our hearts what's the right thing to do. We're just telling us excuses. We're just telling us, yeah, it's because I need to make a living. Yeah, it's because of that. And sometimes, making a living becomes, 1 or 2 or 3 iPhone, iPad, iPod. All these things came out. But do we really need them? I think we all have an answer. And all my message trying to tell people is listen to yourself. But also listen to watch Dai TV. Because a lot of times we might be lost. Sometimes we do not have answers. And if we just take some time to calm ourselves in this everyday, very busy lifestyle, what can we do? What can we do every day to find some peace of mind, to be reconnected with our natural self? And I would recommend a life wisdom every day, 12 minutes a day. And if you really can't get enough of it, then there's more program to watch. But think deep, calmly think. 静思 means to be at ease and be calm and think deeply. And I think Master wants us to really reflect, to think deeply about everything that's happening. But do not just stay there and just start to thinking about everything but taking no action. It has to be merged as one. So my message is, be honest to yourself. But at the same time, listen to your inner self as well as listen to Master's teaching allows us to gain more experience, more exposure to different things about what we should do with our lives.
So do you have any final thought that you would like to share?
Yes, I would like to share that please do not see me as a person who is already there, because I am still on my way. But I think the most important part about listening to yourself, about finding it, is that for me, I know where I'm going and I know how to get there, and I'm sure that I'm on this path. So that makes my life really worthwhile, every minute of it. It makes it really joyous. It doesn't matter how tiring I am. I know I'm on my way to get to where I am, where I want to get to. I think that's the most important. And so the message is really for everybody is that, do you know where you want to get to? Do you know how to get there? And are you on it? And if you can do all these 3, then I think we'll all be very joyous, we'll all be very happy, they'll get this Dharma joy, and we'll have a lot less people who are depressed, and that's really how we can build up this harmonious society.
Thank you so much for being with us today. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And have a safe trip back to Hualien. Thank you so much for watching us today. We really hope that somehow today you also found your way, your path, and that helped you somehow. I'm Neil Secant, and I'll see you soon.